founder and CEO of Loop Holding. He holds multiple F&B brands, most notably Tealive. So in his session today, our partner of Bawatana, Saad, will actually be moderating a fireside chat with Bryan. It'll touch on his thoughts on what entrepreneurship means to him, his triumphs and his challenges during his journey, maneuvering his company through multiple crises, and what his tips are for all of you startup founders. So before I get into the chat, I'd like to play you guys a short video.
Was even awarded Franchisee of the Year in December 2016. But on January 5th, things took an unexpected turn. In 45 days, Loop Holding will have to stop using the Chatime name. Its employees will be out of work and its 6-year investment will be gone. The only way out of this was to launch a new brand, get the support of Chatime drinkers and debunk the rumors. And while some didn't believe it could be done, we took it as a challenge. First, we had to stabilize things by initiating a crisis action plan. Develop a detailed PR plan and rollout. Crafted a precise and clear communications plan for staff, stakeholders, and the public. Created new brand guidelines for 360 marketing, including in-store graphics and POSNs. The PR strategy was to stay calm and not retaliate to stories. We instead used Bryan Loo as the face of the new brand and went on a charm offensive by telling our side of the story.
When I see that there's no trust and respect in the whole entire agreement or contract, we felt that, the only thing that popped out of our mind is, do we want to continue the relationship? Do we felt that there's still a way for us to come together in the relationship?
Next, we instilled confidence in our employees and stakeholders by reminding them that their interests come first, and that they will continue to be a part of our new brand.
It's not because tea is our life, but we are a family. Our employees like our family, all 1,000 of them. So here's the thing, we're going to do something new, something really exciting, because for next month, it's going to be crazy. We're going to work day and night, weekend, holidays.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, so we'll come back, bang.
Then, using primarily social media, we reassured our customers that business was operating as usual, and that something new and exciting was brewing. With a pre-launch campaign called Tea is Our Life. It showed our customers and partners how passionate we were about the new brand, and they responded by showing their support to us. In the background, our designers were busy creating the new look for the stores, menus, and website. Finally, we launched the flagship store on 18th February 2017, exactly 45 days from the termination notice. And it started our second campaign, For the Love of Tea. From our manifesto to social posts to store designs, it showed how much effort we put in to making sure that our customers get only the best tea experience.
为了我热爱的茶，我亲自指导团队中的每一位成员。For the love of tea, I make sure each cup is awesome. For the love of tea, I travel the world to see what's new.
For the love of tea, we present to you Tealive.
Our love of tea spread throughout the country. That love hasn't faded, even today.
So here we are, everyone. Welcome, Bryan Loo.
Hi guys.
Hey, Bryan, how are you, man?
Good, Saad. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Saad here. Okay, today this session will be quite unique. I think we're going to be like having a conversation with Bryan Loo here, someone who I've been privileged to work with a campaign that sort of launched Tealive into the shores of Malaysia and also throughout the world. It's been a great journey. In that short 40 days, we managed to launch something that no one would have thought was going to be successful. I mean, I had critics on my side of the industry saying that that's an impossible task that you and Bryan is doing. But hey, you know, here we are now speaking to one of the rock stars of an entrepreneur, a company that's making waves in Malaysia and throughout the world. Bryan, remember those days?
Yeah, of course, Saad. The video recaps, the most horrible moment in our life, and also turned out to be a most inspiring moment for ourselves as well.
It is.
To you, Saad, if not, the journey would not be that smooth.
That's true. I mean, it's. I think it goes both ways. I think guys out there, I think it's important to have a very open mind and the strong belief that you can actually achieve things. For us as an agency, also we will look at it, to do things within 40 days to relaunch a brand totally, and helping a great brand like Loop Holdings and all that to move forward. It's always a big challenge, and like Bryan, I think we love challenges. We strive for challenges. Yeah. Um, so I think just a bit of a background. I think we got Bryan came along as a client in October. We were doing chart time and we were doing all well and good until that fateful day in early January that he brought us in the hotel into the office and told us this shocking story, right? That Lakafa and all that is making way from Loop Holdings, and that's where the journey began with us in terms of relationship as a client and now as a friend. I think we will learn a lot from Bryan in terms of how he managed his brand, and to take it where it is now 3 years later. Bryan, I'm sure that particular moment, I'm sure there's a lot of lessons to be learned. Could you tell us a bit about that? Yeah.
So I think two things I learned throughout the whole crisis. Two things that stay very close to my heart is, it's really true when people say that, things that doesn't kill you make you stronger. So I think this is the word that I truly feel deep down in my heart. When we look back 3 years down the road to today, reflecting on previous journey, right? It's really true that things that doesn't kill us make us stronger today. So I think that's point number one. Number two, I think what we truly look back and say, what have we done right to deserve this? Is because there's always this mindset on, we are not here to win the battle. We are here to win the war. So that when we say word like that, is because there's so much dissatisfaction and there's so much imbalance in the heart that you want to step out and confront, explain to the public, but there's so much that you could not do that, right? There's so much obligations that stop you from doing that. So I think all we learn throughout the journey is that the mind is always putting on much longer perspective. It's not just to win the small battle ahead of us, but more so taking the team to win the war at the end of the journey. Yeah. So I think that is the two most quality lessons that I truly learned out from the experience and the crisis. I think today is really ingrained in our DNA to shape a new us, not a new normal, but a new us.
Yeah. I remember you saying that every crisis, I think it's something that everyone says also, but I remember you repeatedly saying that with every crisis there's an opportunity, and true enough, you were pushing it through and trying to create more opportunities with this so-called challenge that you've been faced all of a sudden.
I think we thank God in the sense that we managed to struggle and push it through to see that as an opportunity, and we could have turned the other way around and could not make it. We could have failed halfway through and say that we're just not making it through. So I think today is really a great reflection on the last 3 years journey, because today Tealive is 3 years old. We're starting on starting on February of 2017, when we transformed the new brand. Today we are more than 3 years old, slightly more than 3 years old, and it was one of the best decision and experience that I ever asked for in my life.
So how many stores do you have? I know you started like almost 100 stores initially with Charter.
Yeah, I still remember that time when we transformed. We have 167 outlets. So there are 4 outlets still remain back as Charter. So we transformed 163 outlets to a new brand, Tealive. Today we got slightly close to 600 outlets across 7 markets as well. Malaysia remained the most. Malaysia has about 155. the remaining will be international markets.
Yeah. So how do you get Australians and the British to learn about drinking bubble
I don't
tea?
know, we always joke around, right? I say, entrepreneurship is just such a long marathon, and every market we go, right, we have to technically go back to point zero. We have to go back to zero and restart our entrepreneurship journey, and that is just so exhausting, and that's so daunting in the way that, we've been through a decades to grow Malaysia market to where it is. But every market, every new market we're going in, is just like the first day when we started in Malaysia.
Yeah.
So it needed a lot of motivation and tap on the shoulder to really move on and march on that kind of journey. So I think what we did over the last 3 years is we restart our entrepreneurship journey 7 times, because 7 new markets, and every market has all different kind of challenges, and you are spotting right on the spot where, how do we educate the Westerner to drink bubble tea, which is something very new to them, could be something very strange to them. But we always believe that, we are not here to create a bubble tea trend, but we are here to cultivate the modern tea drinking experience anywhere we planted our stores. It doesn't matter whether are we in Asia, are we in Australia, are we in Europe, whatever we do, right, we stay put with our grand vision, which is really to modernize the modern tea drinking experience anywhere we planted our stores, one neighborhood, one community, or even one country at a time.
I think I know why you created the word Tealive. Maybe the audience would like to know why. How did that brand name come about, Tealive?
So I think it started from our propaganda, if you can remember, and the propaganda is around tea is our life.
Yeah.
Tea is our life. I think when we put them together, then we form a new word called Tealive. And the reason being, we thought that, we want to change the FE to VE, is because at the underlying name of Tealive, there's always this word called "we are still alive." ALIVE. So when we put them together, we thought that this is the most compelling name that we ever at our top of the mind. That is just not representing a new brand, but it was also representing the purpose and the mission behind the brand, which is we want to thrive, not just alive, but we want to thrive, and taking this new brand to the new height.
Okay. I think ever since I know you from day one, Bryan, you've been almost like a workaholic. You're juggling a number of brands under you, not just Tealive alone. You have your Coco Kai, Gindaco, Croissant Taiyaki, Unbridge, Noodle, your Defined Foods. How do you manage all that?
I think what I'm truly lucky is we managed to build a team that we don't call them a team, we call them a family. So I think what I managed to when we look back, what we managed to did correctly in our organization is we managed to build a lot of founding members, in a sense that we able to ingrain this value of entrepreneurship into our people. So when we move on from our previous brand to new brand Tealive, from there we actually managed to grow a series of a pool of talent pool, which they themselves could be entrepreneur tomorrow. So what we did is with this all new talent or old talent, we actually started to divert them or into a new portfolio and make them a new founder. So they are the one that driven all the new portfolio. For instance, Coco Kai, Noodle, Gindaco, Croissant Taiyaki, Defined Food. All these are driven by a founder-led internal groom talent. So all these people who used to be the top talent in Tealive has slowly moved on and start championing a new brand, start championing a new startup brand. So I think those are our really huge aspiration to grow our internal talent and make them an entrepreneur, but not just an intra-entrepreneur. So I think over the years, all these founders has started to driven into all different funnel, and a lot of them managed to came out at different scale. Obviously, I think what we truly learn is the value of the company does play a big role. So there's 4 key values that we build throughout our journey. Is number 1 is passion, number 2 is teamwork, number 3 is honesty, and the last one, which we focus a lot, is entrepreneurship. So I think these 4 values truly shape a lot of our internal talent and bring them the new value and capacity to allow them to venture into all these different brands, and Loop being become the shared resources or fundamental platform for them to, as a springboard for them to grow and take the portfolio and grow. So I think over the years, I think today we have about 14 portfolio under Loop, and all of them are driven by internal talent who used to be the top performer in Tealive model, and slowly we spin them off into championing all different new portfolio.
So Tealive basically that started everything, right?
I would say Tealive is the avenue where we mold them into the future entrepreneur. Yeah. And a lot of them who championing new portfolio today was used to be with us for 6-7 years at the beginning of journey. And today they are all championing all different portfolio and starting to grow the brand. So I think Loop remain a subtle role whereby we will open up as a shared resources platform for all these new brands to tap in as a back end to support them in terms of supply chain, the marketing point of view, operational advisory panel. So all this back end advisory panel will start helping all these small brands to grow within the network.
That's very interesting. I think for startups out there, it's a very good model to basically scale up your startup or your company and all that. Making sure that at least one unit is working well before you start scaling up.
You're right. Yeah. So what I'm trying to articulate here is, or emphasize here is, so we are definitely not here. So we are diversification is definitely part of the company vision and mission, but we gotta be able to springboard from one great fundamental that allow all other brands to rely on them or rely on it later. So I think what we did 7 years is really focus in building the fundamental for the organizations, which is the back-end shared resources platform. So from there, we can support multiple smaller startup brands that's going to grow along the way. So I think that fundamental took us about 7 years to build. And today we finally realized that platform was the most powerful platform we ever built for the company.
That's true. Yeah. You mentioned about family and work, and I think when I first met you and all that, I could see that the way you treat your staff and the way you treat your partners and franchises, they're almost like a family. Is that how you feel that the culture of Loop Holding is all about?
I think it go way back to where we born, like where I born previously. I was born in very small towns, the smallest states in the whole Malaysia. I was born in Perlis, and I often say this, right? So in my township, I was there until Form 5. The only thing that I truly learned from my childhood time is about togetherness. So what I meant by togetherness is because we doesn't have the privilege to born in urban city where there's a lot of entertainment. There's a lot of shopping malls, theme park, water park. So in Perlis, you got nothing but your friends. So togetherness has always been our heart, and deep down, this is what shaped who we are today. So today, between the organizations, we got about not less than 10 childhood friends, all sitting in the key position of the company, which we all started on day one. So on day one, I started to rope in all my childhood friends between the organizations. Today, there are 10 of them sitting at all the key positions together with my family members, which is my sister, my wife, and it shaped that ultimate fundament, the foundations for the company to able to go to where we are today. So I think togetherness, family values is all ingrained in our people. And I think this is what we see as the most powerful element for Loop. And we really want to make sure that we magnify these family values between the organizations and bring it from point A to the end of the journey.
Yeah, I think these are very positive values that any company should have. The idea of, because again, honestly,
and often enough, people say that, how to use the wife working with all your best friend and your wife and your sister, right?
Yeah.
I think I will put it this way. I would say that, if I never get a chance to work with my best friend or my sister or even my wife, I may not be where I am today. Yeah. I think there has been such a great, tremendous pillars for myself in my life and also for Loop. And without them, I don't think that we're able to propel to where we are.
Yeah, I always believe that family is always comes first, then work. And if you can combine both together, I think that's a perfect combination.
Yeah.
We
agree.
Yeah. And talking about family also, I think you mentioned in one of your interview that one of your icons that you look up to is actually your dad. Well, most startups will look at like people like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, you know, all the big icons of the world. But you look up to your dad. Why is that so?
So my dad has always been a great role model in my life when I was young until now. Simply because he's very simple people, very simple person. So he's the first person to inspire me to start out my business at the age of 7. Because of my motivation that I wanted to buy a bicycle, and then he said that why not you're gonna think deep down what you passionate about to do, and that was where I get inspired to start out my first comics selling business when I was primary 1. And at the end of primary 1, I made my first 1,000 ringgit pocket money, and that's where I get my bicycle. So that has always been a great model who he's inspired the children to really step up and do what they like. So he has never been a person who dictates us on what he thinks is correct and what he thinks is right for us, and hence we have to follow through his pathway. So that has always been open-minded, 100% or 110% encouraged to his children on what we're passionate about, and really push us to take our passions to next level. And he was the first one to stood by me when I bring out the idea that I want to do bubble tea business, whereby the world is against me, saying that, they cannot believe that, I'm a biotech student, graduate from Australia, has to went to this pathway to sell bubble tea. There's no a single voice that around me saying that they are supportive towards the idea. That and that of my parents and my wife was the few that really truly believed that I would take my passions to next level. And I think the last bit that I learned from my dad is I enjoy the moment where he started a career together with the children. And this is the big thing in my life. And today, if you know, I got 3 children.
Yep.
And my number one dream is not about how I wanted to grow company to become, but is to enjoy, is just so that my children can grow up earlier, and I have an opportunity to do back the same like what my dad did to me, is to create a career together with my children.
Yeah.
I think that is that's a very powerful values and experience that I truly get from my parents, and I think this is something that I want to continue as a legacy.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen great companies with multi-generation, what I call it, legacies and all that. I mean, I know the owner of Grab with Anthony and his brothers and all that. I think that the right, what I call it, the way you are brought up and all that as a family is very important, and I think business will also continue because I think it's ingrained in you to have the right principles and the right values to basically choose and make the right decisions moving forward. I think I'm blessed also to meet up with your father.
Yeah,
he's such a humble guy and all that. It's quite great looking. I mean, I wish I had your dad also in terms of
thank you, son.
getting forward. Which is true.
He's still very aggressive, like he leaves us no excuse to be laid back.
Yeah.
He's still very aggressive, and I think he still constantly pushes to go faster than we could. I think what I truly learned from him is he's very grassroots person. He went across all the outlets. He's my ear, my eye, and technically my mouth from the ground. So while we're busy from above the company and all this, he was often the one that going down to mingle with the staff to know what's the exact issue happening on the floor level. He will know what's the concern from our stakeholder. He will be the ear and the mouth and truly transmitted or transfer all the messages back to us, just so that we understood that whatever strategy we try to in place from top to bottom, it go align with our stakeholder.
Yeah.
So I think that's my dad, and something that I truly ask my embracing and truly proud is because he's so humble, and his down to earth character is really make sure that it was a great benchmark for us being a children, and whatever we do, our feet has always on the ground.
Yeah.
And not just about looking at the vision that we're trying to build, but also listening from deep down on the bottom of the ground what our people truly need from us.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of companies don't have also. I think they've gone so far that they go up higher. They forget about the people who have actually built the company with you. And to have that connection with everyone, I think you have more than 2,000 people now in your family. I think to be down to earth, to be at that level, to understand them, I think that's where for any startup and entrepreneur going out there, I think that's very important. It's not about you, it's about the company and the brand that you're building rather than
Exactly.
and success actually should be celebrated across the different levels of the company, right?
Agree.
So in terms of as much as you have a mentor, right, with your dad, in terms of other brands, which brands do you look at and say, yeah, I want to be like them?
Yeah, I was looking through the question just now, when you sent across. This is one of the questions that doesn't have the answer in my mind. Because I feel that, all the brand has got such a great side to learn from. And there's no one brand that's truly superior. And every brand, doesn't matter whether is it a failing brand or whether is it a thriving brand. Every brand has got such a great learning case study for us to learn from. And I feel that, in life, I've benchmarked our brand against a lot of international brands who has truly won in the industry and truly failed in the industry. And I think those are great learning that shape our own journey today. There's so much brand that is doing an amazing job out there. And there's also some brand that's particularly important. When you look at their failure journey, it's sort of shaping something that you want to avoid in your learning curve.
Yeah.
And I think there's no exactly one brand that I have in top of my mind.
Sure.
But I just feel that, while we crafting our own journey, we are always remaining very sensitive towards all the brand that is thriving or failing in this moment, and be very sensitive about their journey and try to reflect against what we do in our day-to-day strategy.
Yeah. In fact, someone I met also told me, he said, to learn about to become a successful company, you need to learn about the failures of other companies.
Yeah.
You avoid them. So as much as we have icons of brands out there that we want to be like.
And sometimes you're surprised the failing one was the one that truly give you more learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's the immediate thing that you actually should avoid to do, right? Versus success, you try to follow and mimic a successful company or a startup, but you forget that the journey how they get there is a tough journey, and you cannot replicate with your company.
Yeah.
The failings of any startups from the start will allow you to not and avoid all those mistakes as you move along as a company. I think that's very important, and I respect your answer in terms of that's true. I mean, for you, I think you can learn from all companies in their success and their failures, and then there's no one company that basically do motivate you. I think it's multiple companies that basically make you.
I think we are living in this world where we're dealing with this new normal and all this. We try to shape our perspective in multiple different dimensions in a way that when we try to learn, we are no longer just learning from F&B players or even F&B industry, because today there was such a big overlapping from tech to F&B to IT, to all other areas. And we feel that there's so much to learn in this industry, not just putting one dimension towards the F&B players, but more so what would the tech perspective change the F&B playing field over the next 3 to 5 years of future. I think that would be also such a great reflection or such a great aspiration for us to look at, to see that how do we move or maneuver the company in a very different way. So I think payment has been a forefront engine for to power all the transaction, and also an area that we are looking at on how do we make a seamless transaction payment journey for our consumer going forward. So that has got nothing to do with F&B. It was all about how do we envision payments integrate into F&B industry and make that seamless over the time. So I think what we did during this COVID period, we launched a new model called in Malay called Pandu Masuk, Drive In.
Yeah.
It was it was our improved version of drive-through. We got about 15 outlets of drive-through at this moment. But when we meant drive-in or virtual drive-through, there was a new payment method or transaction model that we just launched during this COVID lockdown period. And to my surprise, and I thought that, it was such a new experience, the adoption level will be very low. You'll be surprised that during this COVID lockdown or this pandemic period of time, right, it accelerates a lot of things that we never expected would happen.
Yeah.
It will accelerate a lot of understanding about virtual drive-through, drive-in model, pandu masuk, order ahead. So all this new payment method has opened up a new revenue stream for us, and start able to tap into different customer at different demographic or buying behavior. So we launched Pandu Masuk about 2 months ago across a pilot 100 outlets. Today, Pandu Masuk made about 5% of transaction that we made throughout the network, and it continued growing, which means that there's few thousand people that's technically adopted Pandu Masuk and treat that as their day-to-day transaction model. And I find that to be very inspiring, and we feel that, in the future, we should not be restricted ourselves to just walk-in customer who make transaction right in front of us or through the e-wallets. We should be able to tap customers who never came to our outlet at all, who wanted to order and hit their drinks and pick it up at all the different locations as they go along. So I think it's all about building touch point through all the different payment methods and start intercept that into their daily life. So I think that's our new learning during this COVID period, and something that we really want to amplify and want to be ahead of a curve.
You're right. I think industries, in terms of the separation of walls, and I think there's no more walls now. It's almost quite seamless across different industries, where one industry can go into another industry. I mean, you look at how Grab started out as a ride-hailing app, and now it's a super app for almost everything in our lives, right? Even in Gojek in Indonesia, even you can actually order massage or makeup, to your phone. So I think business, or as a startup, you have to look at a bigger spectrum in terms of where the possibilities of where that particular idea or product can go into, rather than just limiting yourself to just one industry. And I think that's where the beauty of scalability of your product.
Yep, agree.
The vision, right? And in terms of how do you look at your brand and say, hey, there are multiple opportunities out there. Let's find it. And you're right. I think COVID has opened a lot of eyes in terms of businesses looking at elsewhere in terms of how to survive. Right? At that moment, now they're looking at how to survive. And from how to survive, they look at, hey, actually, there's an opportunity to expand my business in this area. So I think for startups out there, do not restrict yourself to you're king in this area and I want to be just king in this area. I think you should look at it and say, hey, what's out there? Because anyone can take over your business or your product or your idea almost instantaneously if you don't scale, expand, and diverse across multiple
Agree.
Multiple industries and all that. Fantastic. So talking about that, I mean, you've been I'll call you a hustler. You've been a hustler since 7 years old. I mean, you've been entrepreneur spirit from the day from 7 years old. When you were 24, you went into part-time business on your own with your dad's help and all that. Any advice for startups out there? As a young entrepreneur, I mean, you're mid-30s now and making it, but and still moving on.
I think reflecting on the last 1 decade of entrepreneurship journey, I think I truly learned about a couple of things, and it kind of shaped my personal mantra in the things that I'm trying to do. So I think number one thing is everything got to begin with thinking big, and at the same time being very realistic on our own capacity and start small. And once we hit the tipping point, right, there's no turning back and just scale up as fast as we could. So it kind of formed that three DNA that I truly believe in, like think big, start small, and scale fast. So I think this personal mantra has been always works for all the startup that we involve in. Obviously, every new idea that we start off, we start it big in a way that, what we envision over the next 10 years, what are the things that we want to change in industry, what what is the eating culture that we are ingrained in the community over the next 10 years or a decade, 2 decades down the road. So always start from thinking big, but being realistic on our own capacity and say that, okay, I think this is only where we are. Let's start small and constantly working out and try to find that tipping point, right? Once we get it, we scale it as fast as we could without looking back anymore. So I think these 3 things, think big, start small, scale fast, has been a very, very powerful reminder for myself. For every single new portfolio that we went in, we put out our hat and say that, this is again the same journey that we're going to take. It's a duplicate DNA of what we did in Tealive. We're going to constrain and make it compact and start mowing it or duplicating in all our portfolio that we're trying to grow. So I think the next thing is that's so difficult in this entrepreneurship journey, right? That every time I always explain to our people that we have to take we have to take our own comfort in all the uncertainty right ahead of us. And also remain very flexible and able to adapt to all the changes, especially in this new normal. So in this new normal, we have seen something that we never expect to see in our life. It's all happened this time. And if you don't remain comfortable with all the uncertainty ahead of you, it's very easy for people to give up. So I think this is what I learned throughout the time is always remain very flexible, very comfortable with all the uncertainty, with all the unseen, and try to develop a DNA to go around that and say that, every uncertainty is a way of learning for us. It's a form of learning for us to adapt and form a new operating model so that we can go quicker in time like this. And the last bit was entrepreneurship is like a journey, a marathon, and it never ends. And it's no point for you to sprint and no point for you to slow down at the same time. It's always maintain that kind of pace, and the pace is a great determination to success journey, because marathon never end, right? So I always say that entrepreneurship is like marathon. You gotta maintain the right speed and pace so that you can sprint and slow down as and when you want. So when I say sprint, which means that every time when you saw a small win or small pocket of win, you can sprint and get a win very quickly because you always maintain the right speed. Or when you saw a roadblock, right, you can stop immediately because you are already halfway through. So that pace of marathon is really keeping us able to exhibit the progressiveness in the market, just so that the market truly understand that this company is very progressive. They sprint every time when there's crisis ahead of them, or they can slow down when they see some uncertainty right in front of them. So I think maintaining that right speed is very critical in entrepreneurship journey. And I think when we reflect on it is that pace that keeps us where we are today. And if we can always aim on small win and hunting for small win, all these small win will ultimately lead us to the ultimate big win that we all wish to have. But never only aim for big wins, because to hunt for big win, it takes you years and years and years, and sometimes more of luck than chance. So what we have in our own personal mantra is never hunt for big win, always hunting for small win. Because from all these collective small win, that's when we met our ultimate big win. So I think when I meant by small win, if I can put in an example, is during the early day of our COVID lockdown period, everyone was just back off from the whole sentiment and starts feeling a lot of discomfort about what's the market going to become. And we actually starting off very humbly with a very small innovation, which is we're starting off with our home kit, home bubble tea DIY kit. That was our first small win in this whole COVID lockdown period, before we spin off to the further 20-30 innovation right ahead of us. So I think the first small win was the bubble tea DIY kit that garnered a lot of media attention at the beginning. And from there, we started to spin off to bottle our own drinks, to our breakthrough collaboration with Walls Ice Cream to launch the first bubble tea ice cream. And then went on and on, creating the world's first bubble tea instant noodle, the first strawless cup, the first strawless bubble tea cup in the world. So it went on and on, stepping on, but it all started from that small little thing, which is the bubble tea DIY kit, whereby we started that very raw, very impromptu. We doesn't have much ingredient to put on, but we're just starting it off because we feel that, you know, there's something that we wanted to engage with our consumer who's now stuck at home, looking for new experience, looking for something that can change their feeling at home. So I think that truly became a small win, and the rest become history.
I think I must admit I did order. Somebody sent me that home kit bubble tea kit for me, and I tried it. And it works. It made me. I mean, I'm based in Singapore now, and I miss Tealive.
And that bubble tea kit was our first project that leads us eventually to start off our own Tealive online store and e-commerce platform.
Yeah.
So as you know, right, Saad, we have always been offline business, and online business just so strange to us. It's on the other side of the world that we are not experienced before. But today, e-commerce is become an important business funnel for us, which also contribute quite a significant revenue to us, to the group. So what we did over the last 7 to 8 months, we started to build our own online stores in our own platform, and also through the aggregator like Lazada and Shopee and all this. Today, e-commerce revenue contribute quite a bit of contribution to group level, and it's all started from that bubble tea DIY kit at the beginning. So I think it's evolved, and I think it's all started from a small win and eventually lead us to a bigger win, and ultimately that big win is something we call it a tipping point.
Yeah. I think it's a perfect evolution in terms of business model also. I mean, again, another challenge sort of push you to go into areas that you think you never go into, which is online sales and online marketing and all that. And again, partnerships. I think you talked about it. The partnership with Waltz Ice Cream. I mean, that was a big surprise, you know, for any brand to go there. Even for Waltz actually to partner with you, I think it's the most difficult partnership, and yet it happened. And there's also partnership with Mummy Double Decker with bubble tea noodle. Noodle. It's no one would have thought of such a thing unless a crisis like this pushed both brands to basically work on it.
Yeah,
it's another kind of brand innovation that we push to. And if Aisha would like to share, I think there's one more which I love. For sneakerheads out there, Aisha, just play this video. Yeah, thanks. If any one of you have questions, please type in at the chat room. We'll try to answer this, or try to get Bryan to basically answer those questions. Aisha is not playing.
You can hear it, right?
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay. But it says I'm screen sharing.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's move on.
Okay.
Thanks, Aisha. Okay, for those sneakerheads and all that. Again, and Tealive is a F&B product and all that, and we'll ask ourselves, what have they got to do with sneakers and all that. I think that's where it's all about to do with branding. I think to reach out to all types of target audiences and to all types of touch points, I think it's very important for brands to innovate and diversify across multiple touch points, and going to a hype beast kind of area where even Tealive has their own special edition sneakers. Right? It's done by this talented sneaker designer, right? Who basically, his name is Cartoon. I think the video is online. I think it's on Tealive's website. And I think Bryan, would you like to go through that journey, and why did you move to fashionable brand?
I think, Saad, if I think you can resonate to us when I say that, you know, partnership is the big thing in our DNA. And I think even during previous brand, there's a lot of partnership has been happening, and it's just that we take it to the next level when we have this new brand Tealive. So I think Tealive and Walls ice cream inspired bubble tea popsicle was the first project or pilot project that we extend our brand or product beyond just drink. So it was the first project where we managed to extend Tealive brand into different format into ice cream, and it was a runway success for us. We sold 10 million stick during this COVID period, and we also export that to Singapore and Brunei. And it formed the first confidence for the brand today to start looking at how do we stretch Tealive into all other form of products that we can become, that can continue to strengthen our positions to becoming a household brand. So I think from ice cream, we evolved into just pour it, which is our ready to drink 1 liter bottle at home. So we launched that. We allow our consumer base to order from e-commerce and we deliver to a house. So slowly from there, we started to went into Tealive inspired mooncake, Tealive inspired instant noodle, Tealive inspired raw pearl, where we allow customer base to start cooking pearl at home. Because what our vision is we want to make pearl the next staple for all the household, which means that we want people to cook pearl as they go along. They make dessert at home. They used to cook red bean, they used to cook sago and all this, but next time we want them to cook pearl. So we want pearl to be part of the home ingredient where people can use it and start making their own dessert, making the drinks, making the cakes. So I think that was part of our grand vision on how do we make bubble tea become people's daily life. Not just that they can access to our stores across our store network. We want them to able to make it at home DIY kit or FMCG pack that allow them to start making or recreating their favorite drinks at home. So I think what we're about to launch is to launch, I brought up some sample just to give a bit a glimpse of what's coming up next. Yeah. So we're going to launch this bubble tea, raw bubble tea package, FMCG product, across all the supermarkets, across all the convenience store, hypermarkets, to allow people to able to buy raw pearl and start making it at home. So what they did is they can buy the pearl, they can access the QR code into the main menu that we put in, with all the tutorial that we put into the website to allow our customer to able to recreate dessert, cakes, drinks. Everything has got to do with pearls. So I think we built that product library just so that our customer can look at that video tutorial and start making their favorite stuff at home. So I think that was part of our vision to make pearl the next household staple at home. Just like when they cook dessert, they start thinking of other ingredients.
Yeah.
I think that was part of the vision. And the most recent collaboration was with Gindaco, where we really spin off something really out of the mind, where we thought that we want to build the world first bubble tea instant noodle. And it started with the very controversial first version product, evolving into the new one, which I have the first sample right next to me, which we're going to launch. Yeah, which we're going to launch on the mid of December, which is this mee goreng boba. So this is in the dry version. This is in the dry version. The first version was in the soup version. So mee goreng boba was the second version of instant noodle that we're going to launch to the market on the mid of December. So I think this is all the collective of product that we intend to roll out the market. But what I envision is we want to create more Tealive household brand, which means that you are seeing a lot of Tealive inspired biscuit, cookie, candies, popcorns, snacks, potato chips. Everything around Tealive brand will start moving into FMCG products. I think that was part of our new vision that during this COVID lockdown period, is because we feel that we wanted to be, our previous vision was trying to become the Southeast Asia largest lifestyle tea company in the country in terms of retail. But today, I think our aspiration is to become the Southeast Asia leading lifestyle tea brand in retail and in FMCG industry across the board. So I think that's where we started to to improve upon our vision and to say that, you know, who we truly want to become over the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think Tealive wanted to become the brand, not just between bubble tea, but we want to take it to bring to the next level where you start seeing a lot of Tealive inspired product in the market. And that's where we really wanted to put, that's where we really wanted to plant the brand. And
There's
put
a
the
lot
brand
of, yeah, fantastic diversification. I think there's a lot of Asian inspired influences and all that. I think what I'm trying to say is that I think for you, I think you've always wanted to create a Malaysian product and be the first big brand besides Petronas to basically go out to the world and say, hey, you know, here is a Malaysian based product out of Asia, and we are here to basically rule the world. Is that correct for me to say?
I think as I truly reflected, it's all started from small win. Obviously, in our mind, there was a lot of bucket list of partnership that we want to strike, but we knew that, you know, before we went to the big guys, right, we gotta be able to reach out to small guys to start something off the ground.
Yeah.
So I think the reason why we were able to work with Walls is because there was a continuous journey that we worked with. We worked with Horlicks, Milo, all the brand across the journey, and then the bigger guys started to notice us and started to came to us and say that, you know, do we have an idea that what could we technically work with Tealive, or is there anything that breakthrough that Tealive have in mind that we could serve as a platform to roll out the program? So I think there's a lot of bouncing off idea, but it's all starting off with smaller players, and then it evolved and it rolled out to be bigger players. So I think what we never imagined is we never thought we would have a chance to create an ice cream with walls. So I think that's never been my dream. I don't even dare to dream about it, because that's just something impossible. And we never imagined that, you know, being a small company in Malaysia, able to develop a joint venture together with Petronas to roll 300 locations in Petronas stations. That's also something that we never imagined before. But it all started from a seed, a small little seed idea where we thought that, you know, we wanted to expand our brand and integrate into people's daily life. And where exactly is Malaysian daily life? Is petrol station. Because people go to petrol stations 2 to 3 times per week, but people may only go to shopping malls. So Malaysian driving experience, Malaysian living lifestyle has truly integrated with petrol station. That's where we feel that, you know, the first touch point that we need to get is to make sure Tealive started to extract the footprint to all the petrol station nationwide, so people can access to our product as they are on the journey, as they are going on their journey. So I think those are evolving around how do we build Tealive into a household brand? How do we build modern tea drinking cultures into people's daily life, into every single community that we're serving on? So I think it's all around building the brand into a much deeper grassroots culture rather than building a trend. So I think a lot of people understood clearly about our vision on day one to create a trend, because trend come and go.
Yep.
The only thing that we truly want to leave behind is we want people to able to enjoy tea as they go along, and tea become the next staple after coffee, and people can access to modern tea drinking experience everywhere they go on their journey, from drive-thru experience to small format to shopping malls to commuter station. They can see Tealive, they can access to their favorite drinks. I think that's where we intend to build the Tealive brand around.
One day the world, right?
Hi guys, sorry, we've got 5 minutes left until Bryan's session is over. So if you want to just wrap it up, there are also 2 questions in the chat, which I can broach later. So Sai, do you want to just wrap this chat up?
Sure, guys. Okay, thanks, Aisha. Yeah, okay, we have like 5 minutes. I think there are 2 questions. For those who have other questions, please type in now. I think there's a nice first question for Bryan. Throughout your journey, you've had a lot of naysayers that doubt your vision and product ideas. How would you advise anyone to deal with this? We went through this.
Yeah, I think we went through this every day. I wouldn't say they are naysayer, but I would say that, you know, they are just people don't see the same thing like you do.
Yeah.
Because if they do, they've already started your journey. So I think being a true entrepreneur, really trust that no one is you. and your journey should be as unique as you are, so that, you know, as you build along, you have much more sense of mission and purpose around it.
Yeah.
So I would say that, you know, I'm truly motivated by a lot of different perspectives that share across or around my life. And it's because that different perspective, it really shaped that unique journey of what we've been through being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, yeah. True. I think I was part of this question. Maybe you can advise, what is the worst advice you received? that all
I think, you know, just by the fact that people giving you advice, it's already a good thing. Whether is it a good advice or bad advice, it's just that, you know, so how I treat opinion or feedback, right? I look at it in a very positive way, but the only thing is, I always believe that, you know, you got to listen closely to your heart, because that's so unique that most of the time your heart has got the answer that you want. And if you listen closely to what you have in your mind and your heart, right, the only thing you want to do is you want to follow them closely.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you are you for a reason, and you want to make the best decision for your life, and that decision truly came from yourself.
That's true. Yeah.
And,
Believe in yourself, right?
Yeah, I think this is what I truly learned from my dad is he has never dictated an opinion or feedback towards things we do, but he always said, you know, you got to trust your heart, because what you have been living 35 years in this journey, and seeing a lot of things and hearing a lot of things, your heart would have developed an answer that you wish to hear. So when you are at doubt, right, always listen to your heart and your mind, because there's already an answer that you have. And the only thing is you got to take up the courage and follow it through and just push it through and make it happen.
That's true. It is good advice. Okay, let's take on the last question. I think with your product diversification now, that the question is, how do you achieve product market fit when venturing into a new business?
So over the years, we formed some guideline towards we formed some guideline towards our expertise and our weakness. We came a long way to say that, you know, there are so many things that we are not good at. There are only so little things that we are good at, and we should be focused and laser focused on this area. So I think that fits our market fit. So I give you an example, right? So we are in F&B. I always say the F&B content was so big, so huge, right? It went from restaurant, fine dine, cafe, mama, all the way to selling drinks. So the only area that we are good at it is not running restaurants. So we are bad at running restaurants. We are just lousy restaurant entrepreneur, right? So whatever has got to do with big restaurants, heavy cooking, chef, we are not good at it. So those are the areas that we don't even look at it, because I think this is the area that we are not good at. But we are only focused in this area where it compounds in 3 to 4 different DNA that we really think that is the level of playing field that we want to build, and that's where our expertise falling at. Number 1, we only look at product that's fast moving. Number 2, we only look at the product that the price is highly affordable. Number 3, we only look at the business model that is semi or fully automated. And number 4, the last one, we only look at the business model whereby the operating size are highly flexible. So Tealive today can went from the smallest unit we ever built, is the first bubble tea to build from an ATM machine in Australia. Oh, okay. So that was at the size of 50 square feet. To the largest size that we're launching next month, which is our latest drive-through, is 4,500 square feet drive-through. So it went from 50 square feet all the way to 4,500 square feet. Any size in between, we can open a store. So we only look at the business model that's super highly flexible, that allow us to deal with one issue, which means that the rental will only raise all the time, right? So if you have a highly flexible sizes, you are not restricted by rental, because why? When the rental expensive, we go small size. When the rental cheap, we go big size. We go mega size. So I think it developed a logic whereby we are counted where the market is going, whereby the rental is going upward and upward, and you are bounded because your operating sizes is bounded by the size. And we realize that, you know, we got to build a business model that can counter where the market trend is, or we can counter where the main factor, which is the rental, the raising rental all the time. And that will allow business to truly perform sustainability across the board.
Yeah.
So I think this is the 4 area of selection or guideline when we're hunting for new business. We look for whether the business is fast-moving products, highly affordable or not. Is it an automated backend or operating model? And then the last one, is it highly flexible sizes? Which means today I can build a size of 500 square feet. Tomorrow I can build a size of 2,000 square feet. The day after I can build a size of 1,400 square feet. Any size in between I can open up stores. So I think those are the format we're looking at.
Thank you. I think.
Thanks, Wei.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I think, guys, thank you very much. I think we come to the end of the session. I think it's a 1 hour of valuable information and learnings from entrepreneur like Bryan Loo, and you can see the success over the years. And we're looking forward for all the new innovations that you're going to launch soon.
Thank you, Sad.
Especially the mummy noodles, fried noodles.
Mee goreng.
Mee goreng. So, guys, I think I hope you've learned a lot. I think as an entrepreneur or a startup and all that, it's nice to learn from a lot of people. I think at the end of the day, I think what Bryan mentioned also, listen to yourself, listen to your heart. If you've gone into that journey, there's only one direction, and your heart will tell you to make the right decision. Is the next step is to make that decision, to make that move forward. Again, thank you, Bryan.
Thank you, Sad.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bryan. Thanks,
guys.
Thanks, Aisha. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Cheers, man.